It's the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman, dealing with the early life of J.R. Hendrick in a narrated format. Enjoy the fun, my friends. Welcome to the podcast where the law of chastity is discussed. So, we start there, the night of the 17th, 5 p.m. Eastern. They're at first scene is at 14 Heritage Gate. Jim comes home from work and is surprised to see Uncle Isaac. Aren't you going to give your uncle a proper hug and a kiss? Isaac asks. Jim embraces him and gives him a kiss on the neck. Uncle, what are you doing here? Jim asks. I'm going to be here for the next 11 days. And that means I want to be with you for every rally and every step of the way until with Betsy gone. I don't want you totally alone. Is this to make up for what Daddy did? Daddy is dead. And has been dead to me for years. Jimmy, you can't ignore your father's side of the family. When you were a baby, your grandma used to rock you to sleep whenever your mom was working the fields. All this while your dad is working split shifts at the factory. I think I don't blame you. You took me to the park every time that Daddy took Carl because he wanted to take Carl and not me. I don't blame the Hendrick family. The Hendrick side of the family. They're good people. It's just Daddy was always the coward of the family. He was the hard worker. Only problem was he kept glued to the newspaper all the time. Something which annoyed your grandpa to no end. When war was coming. You remember your great aunt Laura, Grandma's sister? One time she came for the weekend. And your father would barely even talk to her because he was glued to his newspaper. I'm worried, Isaac. You coming just like him? A restless coward? No. You have more heart than your father ever had. Sure. When he came back in 56, he seemed alive, happy. But by the time of the Vietnam War, if it wasn't for your stepmom Rita, he would have enlisted again. At that point, Daddy was too old. Which Spatter told me he got a job at a factory making parts for the Vietnam War. 7 p.m. Central. The family sits down to dinner with Angus beef fritters, the mainstay for Friday nights dinners during the 80s at Springfield. Kevin and David and JR were talking about, and Dave Smith, of course, were talking about fishing Saturday morning. Kevin would then go look at rental cars while JR handles the food distribution board meeting. Now it's 9 p.m. JR falls asleep and has his flashback. It's October 3, 1996. Okay, JR walks outside of the ranch to his private school bus service when, of course, suddenly Uncle Carl pulls up. Betsy, we have to talk. Now, yesterday, at your dad's bidding, I cleaned the cellar for you and for JR. The least thing you can do is talk to Jim about talking to our father. He's come down with prostate cancer, Carl said. And Betsy's like, I know, Carl. But every time I try to tell him, he's adamantly mad. Says your father is a coward and he's done. JR, have a good day at school. Your Aunt Donna and I will be picking you up. So the dream goes forward about 2 hours later while JR is in school. The flashback turns towards his father in his office. Padme Productions in downtown Nashville. Of course, there's a knock at the door. And then, of course, Clint Zucchi, this actor producer, walks in. And Jim's kind of like angry. He's like, let's cut to the chase, Jim. I don't have all the time. You know, Jim said, and Clint's like, any other day, Jim. But the ratings are falling. Clint Zucchi said, he's pretty upset. And Jim's lifted about 10 feet in the air and it's a book and slammed it on his desk. Cut the crap and tell me the basics right now. He says, over the summer, her ratings for 80% listenership. But now, it's fallen. Tell me what you know right now. I gotta fight trafficking, get on a plane to go see my family for the weekend. So don't waste any more of your Hollywood time and tell me the truth. Jim, she's down to 58%. I wouldn't recommend any more albums or road trips until she gets her readership up. You're such a big actor, producer Clint. How about after a few months, I quit this whole thing? This whole mess comes back home. And I'll let you run her. So now, you fast forward. It's 6:30 a.m. Central. Lake Thomas. Betsy had packed cinnamon rolls for everybody to have breakfast. JR goes fishing. Now, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. North Carolina State University Auditorium. Jim is speaking about faith-based initiatives at a political rally hosted by Bill Brittley. Jim is mesmerized at the speech and how things are going. In other words, he's mesmerized by Bill Brittley. The thing is, Brittley is going to become a major player in this. 9 a.m. Central. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Miko arrives for inspection. True to form, the first thing she checked was the structure of the structure of the stalls and how the general feeling of the ranch is. And goes into office to look at one of the production guides. And after 30 minutes, she comes out. The state inspection number for this ranch is 90%. Miko said, "We'll call you again in September for a rigor inspection. This time, we want your foreman involved." So Miko goes and gets up in her nice little Japanese car and speeds off. Now, it's 1 p.m. Eastern. At the hotel in Raleigh, Jim goes swimming with one of his past lovers from 1987-88, named Frances Key, country singer and Oklahoma oil heiress. Mrs. Key had remarried her husband of 15 years. 7 years ago, after her hopes of marrying Jim was dashed. The two had some friendly exchanges, and she and Jim moved on. Now, it's 2 p.m. Central. JR is having a meeting of the Board of Hendrick Foods. A discussion is whether or not to include a CBD protein bar in the product line suggested by some shareholders in California. Now, a lot of people want to say stakeholders. I'm more of a capitalist. We're going to use the main line holders there that call shareholders. Okay. So JR said he wanted to give it some more time to consult with his father about it. Okay, so 3 p.m. Central, as JR is hanging out with Brad and Jim Bob Horton. Back at the ranch, Christine is talking to a couple of her friends. And she's like, it's good to be able to sit here in the on the damn couch and be able to talk and watch normal TV without the dork being around. So, Christine, we know the usual thing with her. Okay? She kind of has this on again, off again, close and then not. Because in the way, Christine gets a lot of the emotional barometer from Jim. They're just like one another. They're stoics. Like if Jim is going to side with Kyle, Christine's going to side with Kyle most of the time. If Jim sides with JR most times, Christine sides with JR. And one of her friends said, you should really go easy on your brother. You're lucky to have big brothers and not a pesky little brother, Jennifer said. And Christine's like, okay, so I babysat Zach for you and your parents. And I know he's crazy. really, the bully and the dork have been picking on me for most of my life, competing with me for daddy and mom's attention. Look, this is the way I see it, Rochelle said. We got one more week, and then we're going to be out of school. And that means you get to stay up late and take Dave out to the Ridgewood dance party, the 24th. So that's pretty interesting, is Christine's friends dialogue, because it's kind of like JR's friend dialogue with his friends, kind of like, hey, take it easy on your family. And JR's like, you don't know. And the thing you think is like Christine. Now, of course, this show is from the perspective of either one of those two. Kyle, he's just really. Most people, some people like in Hollywood, want to make a show about the antagonist. J.R. Hendrick, Texan Gentleman, is about a protagonist. Okay, so now it's 6:30 p.m. Eastern. It was a star-studded private dinner with Jim and his dream team, along with Constantine and Hillary Bush, Bill and Peggy Britley, and Carol and Jim Stringer. And Bill Britley says, well, I'll tell you what. Clinton needs a checkup from the neck up. He says he's bipartisan. But this past week, all he teaches, he just toots his horn about what he's done in his crime bill that he passed. And Carol Stringer's like, I can't count the number of meetings that Jim Hendrick and I go to. Carol Stringer said, no way does Clinton's people run things like, say, Bush did. And Dave Rosenberg spoke up and he said, see you later. He's neurotic. I mean, rumor is he won't even sell his father's car that is parked in the garage in Long Island. The Mercedes, Hillary Bush said, look at how quickly they were able to sell his New York apartment. But now, all of a sudden, the Mercedes is all mobbed up. Alice Freeman, the Swiss Mafia underboss. If they own this man's car, then I get some oceanfront property in Reno, Nevada to sell you. Oh no. Don't underestimate it, Hildebrand said. The woman has a team of lawyers on speed dial. She owns this Mercedes, plus his old Palm Beach house, the Star Island house, and the place in Vegas. It's too bad that Dole was a bad nominee, Avery Covington said. Well, somebody better we can prove that these connections are going on. 6 p.m. Central. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, dinner is prime rib, baked potato, with all the fixings, and the choice of chocolate ice cream or chocolate or pecan pie. Christine, JR, I just heard from your daddy. From Raleigh, Betsy said. Oh, really? What's Daddy working on now? I'm really interested to hear. He's going to be on the Andrew House show on Tuesday, Mike Fields said. Again with the power, Christine muttered. You know he's in politics, Mike Fields said. He's got a few months, and then he'll be back on this ranch. What does this mean for us? JR asked. JR, we'd be a normal family again, Betsy said. Your father and I don't get much chance to share things together. He spent too much time in Washington already. And I just want him back here on Springfield. It's a family birthright. It ain't my birthright, Jared said. JR, your daddy and I just want to be happy. Of course you do. This family needs this ranch. But after the summer, not me. You finished college. And Christine will finish high school. You got your life to lead. But this ranch is meant for me and your daddy, Betsy said. Well, I knew this time would come. That you'd leave Daddy for the ranch in hopes that he would come back home, Christine said. Can you be okay with that, Christine? I know it's coming, Mama ain't gonna be happy until Daddy comes home. JR, you got that right. This place is a centerpiece to Big Daddy's home. He and Granddad worked time and time since the 1960s to save this place from the auction block. Daddy needs to stop chasing power and come back home ASAP. And that means, Mike, you ready? You work for Daddy, not for me. The clear of the rule is I work for whoever I like. When Granddad was alive, you managing this property. When I was small, I remember he used to plan and manage all the rodeos that came to this ranch. But now you're a fine young gentleman. Sure, you're showing your way into this world. I don't think that. I'm not quite a gentleman. Well, I believe you're wrong. JR, thanks to you, your father, chasing fame and now chasing power. This family has had to go through a lot of hurt. You are the standard bearer. I'm a swing first, so you're right. Mama, the best thing you can do when Daddy comes home is I'll let Kyle back in to run the ranch and spoiling things like he did last year and early this year. I'm gonna go eat in my room. Okay, so this is pretty interesting. In other words, the family knows that it's getting close to time. 9 p.m. Eastern. Jim's entourage get on the jet that was to be bound for DC. Okay, so now we're going for the 19th of May, 9 a.m. Jim and his Uncle Isaac go to St. Anthony's Assemblies of Christ Church for morning sacrament and Sunday school. That Friday night, Claude flew into D.C. because Janet was there in Arlington, Virginia, working on getting their 6-year-old Chinese son into an exclusive school in Midland, Odessa, which had a headquarters in Arlington, Virginia. 1 p.m. Central, with most of the family back from lunch and church, back at the ranch. JR and Dave Smith are swimming. Okay, 3 p.m. Central. Now at the ranch, as JR and his friends are horseback riding, Betsy is talking to some of the shepherds about where to lead the sheep to graze. 7 p.m. At 14 Heritage Gate, Jim is having a barbecue with Jack and Lucy Robertson and Scotty Underwood, now dating his first ex-wife, Ashley Copperwood. Jim is ecstatic that Scotty was falling in love again, Jarrah. Even though they remarried on the ranch in November 1996, I learned 4 years later that they had a bitter divorce because Scotty couldn't leave the bottle alone. 10 p.m. Central. JR goes to sleep and has a flashback dream. It's May 15th, 1975. JR arrives from pre-K school, Burnett Elementary, when he discovers one of his father's little books under the couch. Mommy, what's this? The 5-year-old said. Give it to me, Betsy said. And, of course, in walks Granddad Swain. Okay, he spoke up. He said, Betsy, rein in that husband of yours so you don't have to keep going back to John Dustin. Now I'm taking Junior for the weekend, which means I'm taking him to school Friday. Okay, so later on that night, that's part of that flashback. Later on that day, 2 hours later, JR's sitting in the dining room with his father and grandfather. And Granddad said, Junior, what you saw was one of your dad's little dirty books. He likes to be that to score him some models so they can fool around. Hell, I used to do it too. But I don't want you to go down that same route, boy. I want you far away from it. If you want to keep the one that you love. Now you're staying the weekend with me and your grandma. And I'm going to be the one to take you to school. You and little Thomas. Your parents are going to straighten up. Someday, one way or another. I'm going to get them back on this ranch. They're going to straighten up. God, Robin. That thing. Sorry about that. Just lots of technical difficulties today. This thing's taking a little longer than I thought it would. So basically the granddad tells JR he's going to stay And Jera, sometime later, I began to see that was an impossibility. Daddy, because he was always hungry for something and ambition, like the ability to show love. And Mama always backed up the child that seemed to be the most dominant. Often, Kyle. Okay, so now we're at the 20th. Wow, that's fast. Good. 5 a.m. Eastern. Jim wakes up in his bedroom. Jack and Lucy Robertson flew back to Lubbock. Jack Robertson had to get the law school ready for, I believe it's going to be June's accepted campus students weekend. So now it's 8 a.m. Central. On Lake Thomas in Big Spring, David Smith is driving the boat. JR and Kevin are fishing. JR catches a couple of bass. Kevin also caught a couple of bass. 10 a.m. Central. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Betsy is watching as they load a couple of bulls for a rodeo in Texas City. 1 p.m. Okay, so, yeah, okay. Yeah. 20th. Jim is working in his new office at Entrepreneurial Affairs. He's already spoken to a team of lobbyists in Texas. He's now writing some possible quotes for the Andrew House next column in the Fort Worth Times. Um, 2 p.m. Central. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, JR gets a call from Tim Reiner, who made 24 revisions to the new chapter, including the correct legal citations, the current case. It's going to be delivering it to Andrew House for final criticism. 4 p.m. Eastern, Jim arrives at the house to find his Uncle Isaac's sitting in the front lounge. Well, I'm here sometime. You ought to take me to see your offices, Isaac said. And Jim said, they're nice, but not as nice as the offices at Hendrick Oil back home and in Fort Worth, Jim said. And Uncle Isaac's like, well, then why don't you just quit? And he's like, hello, it's an election year. I remember when I was 19 years old, college campaigning for the adults to vote. I wanted to quit, and Mama said you never quit on election year. 5 p.m. Central. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, she had finished English and biology. She sits on the porch and she's talking to her boyfriend Dave. She's like, all is quiet here on the ranch. Mom said the dork spent most of the day in the office working on this book and talking to people up in Washington, D.C. Trying to be a bigwig, just like Dad, Christine said. And David's like, he has reasons to be. Dad says there's talk all over the bank that your brother is getting ready to publish his book. Now you know that's going to get him some fanfare, Dave said. Makes me sick, Christine said. Now, Christine, last fall, when you and I started dating, you told me that it was Kyle you were getting sick and tired of. JR has only been back from school. What, a little over a week? And when from people talk about around the ranch, he doesn't want to sit around there all the time. Well, that's good. Because I don't like him taking over the den upstairs. Him watching his dorky programs. Okay, so it's 8 p.m. Eastern. Jim and Scotty Underwood have dinner with Jim's dream team. It's a good time sharing. At 10 p.m. Eastern, Jim and Clara talk in the Dream Team Lounge before going to bed. And Claire's like, you have a lot going on tomorrow. You have 2 radio interviews. And tomorrow night, you speak at a campaign rally in Arlington. Once again, for Reverend Isaiah Friedman. I speak at a Christian school Wednesday morning. And then I have another meeting of the EAA. Scotty leaves Wednesday morning. I'm sorry, Jim, but Henry wants me back again Friday for another political meeting. Damn it, that's okay. I have to be in New York on Saturday anyway. So, there you go. The interesting thing and the intricate. And we're just barely scratching the surface with the discussion of the law of chastity. Pornography is... Some guys think it's okay. I think it's a stab in the back of really how men ought to treat women and vice versa. So now we're on the 22nd, 23rd. Jared's going to get a little prelude here. On Tuesday, Kevin McDonald went to get clothes for his internship. So I just hung around the ranch watching TV. Daddy appeared on the 2 radio shows, The Grace Arthur Show and The Andrew House Show. Mama had spent all morning to get some cattle ready to sell in auction in Grady. Okay, so it's 1 p.m. Eastern. Jim is hosting the meeting of the EAA. This discussion is obvious. The Job Protections Act of Small Business Job Protections Act of 1996. Okay, so now it's 2 p.m. Central. Okay. This is the heart of where the chastity issue begins. JR and Brad arrive at Karen's apartment with Kentucky Bill for all of them. And Brad's like, come on, kid, honey. Can't keep losing that kind of weight. You drop down to 100 pounds, eating like a kid, just like Mama, Brad said. And Karen's like, I'm dieting for Donald. I need to look good. Not this fast food crap, Karen said, shoving it away. You should see how he holds me in his arms. Okay, Brad and Karen, this kind of discussion is going to be going on all dang summer. And I got to tell you something. Kind of interferes with JR's progress, so we're going to give both of them the double bell. Because the common thing with dating back in the 90s with girls in Generation X was about the image. And with the guys, it's about, of course, display of affection. And, of course, Gerald's like, goes to Brad's like, leave her alone, Brad. I understand how you feel. That way, Kristen and I hold each other in our dorm rooms. And Brad's like, oh. Kind of like he's sickened. And Gerald's like, and the nickname she gave me, the champ, Gerald said. And Karen gasped like, oh, okay. That sounds like sexual overtones. What's this all about? We just sit around and I hold her in my lap. That's why she calls me the champ. And Karen grabs a book and she says, Dr. Michelle knows that we're both dated. And she gave me a copy. And because I hear what I hear, I'm giving you this second copy to you. It's a book called Getting Too Close Too Soon. Yeah, that's a chastity issue because, and this is something that Christians can say, is that a dating relationship where they're getting sexually active, in many ways it becomes, this just to me, it becomes like a soul tie. They say that couple gets married and then they discover that soul tie is not what they thought it is. People can get hurt. It's a chastity deal, and chastity is really the code. If you're not married, chastity is part of the gentleman's code, ain't it, Jimmy? It is. You and I had to learn, in some ways, the hard way. So it's now 6 p.m. And after the dinner Bible study with Brad, Gerald has Carmen take him to St. Barnabas Assemblies of Christ nearby. There was a Bible study devotional going on there. And Gerald wanted to be there. Okay, so it's 9 p.m. Eastern. Jim gets a call from Bill Mayer. He discusses business. And Bill says, glad you sent that memo. We got a Republican majority this morning to back up this package in the House. But there's last 7 to 21 Democrats that may try to block it, Jim said. Then I'll be speaking to Phil. He'll listen now. Bill Clinton has him at a desk. Not even sure about that. Phil's having problems with the sale of his father's New York apartment. Anyway, I've given Dick Armey a call. Carol's given Bill Hume a call, Jim said. Dick Gephardt, Cordell Wheeler, Tom Daschle, Tom DeLay, Newt Gingrich. My question is, why ain't Bill Clinton making more of these calls? That's an understandable thing for Jim to be saying. He's frustrated, because Phil still has some of the power, and he's wrestling with it. At this point, I think Daddy's angry, and he feels like even though he's been transferred, he still feels like he's holding the bag. Okay, so it's 5 a.m. Central on the 23rd. Betsy is out milking the cows. She says it's therapy for her for missing her parents so bad. The ranch is such a wonderful part of her life. Now, you couldn't keep Mom off that ranch till years later. 7 a.m. Central. At the ranch, Betsy, JR, and Kevin are having waffles on the patio. And Betsy's like, good morning, everybody. And JR's like, good morning, Mama. And he's carrying today's edition of the Fort Worth Times. And Kevin's like, morning, Miss Betsy. He said, listen, I'm flying to go to D.C. today to get some interviews done. My parents will be there with me. I'll be back on Sunday. And Betsy's like, what about you, Gerald? And he says, want to watch TV till Brad picks me up. 3. We're going to hang out with Karen again. Then go to a home group Bible study tonight. Jan Bob can't come in because he's leaving for Oklahoma in the morning. Gonna be gone for a while. In some ways it's good because your daddy never really liked him, Betsy said. It's something because, in a way, what Betsy says is right because, quite frankly, JR's relationship with Brad and Jim Bob, especially that summer, it's going to have some sticking points. Except maybe towards the end. 9 a.m. Central. Christine is out of school after all her finals and her final interview at the prep school. And Christine's like, thank God it's all over. Now we can just have a crap load of fun until we start the 11th grade. And one of her friends said, you going back to the ranch? And Betsy's like, and Christine's like, hell no. I don't want to sit around and watch dorky programs with my brother. I'm going to the Spalding house to hang out with Julia and Megan. Okay, so there we go. It's 11 a.m. Eastern. In the Society room at 14 Heritage Gate, Jim is interviewed by Norma Montague, a reporter for the Washington Times. Jim having his Thursday chats with the press was making a big difference to his psyche in his new office. Okay, so now it's 1 p.m. Eastern. Jim is sitting in the mansion front lounge when here comes Walt Fitzwilliams. He's like, haven't seen you in a while at my parties, Walt said. With Betsy back, I was hoping that you wouldn't become a snob. And Jim's like, Betsy is gone again, back to her precious ranch. Hell, she'll be back in August. And then we can start going to the parties. Promise. Okay, so it's 3 p.m. Brad pulls into the drive and JR gets in. And Brad's like, I know you get sick and tired of sitting around the ranch. And Brad's like, it's not that bad. I get a chance to ride my horse Bandit yesterday. But you're right. I met university life. And my life with Chrissy. You know, I understand that you're in love. But you're starting to worry me. Well, stop worrying. Daddy's going to get me the family condo. So, there's enough. And I'll be back there in August. On time to go to law school. 5 p.m. Eastern in Washington, D.C., Jim sits down to talk to his uncle, Isaac. Okay. Well, we're almost done. So, Jim's talking to his uncle. And, he says, I remember the year that your dad came back from World War. We were both working at the factory, and I would come to pick him up. You missed the school bus, so your mom decided to take you to school, Isaac said. Yeah. And I was mad when he got off work. He decided he was going to take Carl to the park. And he said I had to stay behind to work with Mama. Mama said she wanted to beat the hell out of Carl for asking Daddy to go to the park with him. You sneaked out to go to the park, and then you realized that your dad has been called back to work. So I had to pick you and Carl up and take you back home. Dad came back home a couple hours later, regretting what he did. Got me some Battlefield candy and the Coke. Said his job was driving him crazy. 6 weeks later, he declared his candidacy for legislature in Montana. Your mother wasn't too happy. Only because he started drinking again. 9 months from returning home from the war. That's why I took you over. During your father's long absences during the stupid war. Korea should have never been fought over. Okay, and so now what it is it's 7 p.m. Central. And at the home group Bible study, they watch a few videos and then they're discussing some things. And Brad gives Jared and everybody a copy of this singer named Carmen Lupacella. His album was Conquest of Truth. And Carmen Lupacella is going to be a major part in the fall season things. Anyway, 9 p.m. Central. Jared returns to the ranch to find Christine in the living room watching TV. His mother is obviously upstairs in the bedroom asleep. So Jared goes upstairs to wind down. Okay, so now we're near the tail end, and I'm sorry for things being so long. But, phone calls and that like. Okay, May 24th to 25th, Hendrick, 4 a.m. Betsy is getting up, drinking coffee on the patio, getting ready to go milk some cows and help get ready to load some bulls to be taken for a rodeo in Lubbock. 6 a.m. Eastern. Jim he's woke up in his Dream Team lounge with Clara gone back to her husband. Of course, he's longing for Betsy. It's getting deeper. he had received the call from Mike Fields that morning that said that Amy Kathleen was going to get married on June the 8th, the day of Christine's 16th birthday. So after the wedding, Jim had he had Mike to book a huge hotel ballroom party for Christine. And friends, all the friends can be invited. It's going to be a big hotel ballroom instead of, going back immediately and having it at the ranch. Okay, so it's 8 a.m. Central. At the ranch, JR, Christine, Betsy, and Mike Fields sit down to breakfast at the patio with a choice of donuts, cinnamon rolls, or fruit and cereal. And so Christine's like, why do I have to sit and eat breakfast with this dork? And JR's like, you could easily be a touch more pleasant and say good morning. Good morning, Mama, JR said, taking a few donuts as Christine sighed. Christine knocked it off. Stop being so moody, Mike Field said. Besides, a couple weeks, your daddy has a surprise for you when we go to El Paso. I'm glad Jim is agreeing to do this. I'm hoping everyone is there, Betsy said. I'll try to be there, Mama. No promises, JR said. You're starting to sound a lot like your old prep school friends, like Mike Field said, mildly annoyed. It's okay, Mike. At least he's going to try to do his best, Betsy said. Thomas walks up. And Betsy, Mike, the bulls are all loaded up and ready for the rodeo this weekend in Lubbock. Just tell Freeman, close the door, close the gate, and get them ready to go, Mike Field said. That's my line and my ranch, Betsy said. Excuse me, Mama, but I'm going to go ahead and take my breakfast upstairs to the den, JR said. Come on, don't leave on my account, Thomas said, sitting down next to him. Here's an extra donut. Let's sit down and talk together. See, there's that connection. JR thinks to leave sometimes because, it's obvious what's going to happen. A battle between siblings, especially in the next episode. Okay, so it's 12 p.m. Central. All the ranch, the family is sitting in the main living room TV when there's a knock at the door. And Christine's like, go away, we don't want any. She teased, sounding a lot like her father. And JR opens the door. Larry? And he says, just want you to know I'm getting married next weekend. Donna Cox, Larry Spalding, a longtime family friend, said. Donna? Betsy said. Well, that's the girl who went to elementary school with Amy Kathleen and junior high with Forever. The same. We are devout Assemblies of Christ. I just graduated from UT Austin this year. Donna is asking me to move to Lubbock and help her run her Amistar business. JR's ears perked up. Amistar? Wow, that's a business that my girlfriend is involved in. And Larry's like, Kristen Haig? Donna has told me a lot about her. She's a go-getter. Anyway, her sponsor, Delaney, is Donna's second cousin. 1 p.m. Eastern. At the EAA offices, Jim and the stream team are meeting with consultant Dr. Stephen Elby, professor of political communications at Ascension Christian College. Discussion was about the following rallies in New York, Georgetown, Washington, D.C., and the June 1st rally in Flagstaff, Arizona. And scene. I give this 3.5 root beers and a flight to Washington, D.C. with Kevin McDonald. JR, 3.4 root beers and those 2 bass that I caught again. All right. I hope you enjoyed listening to the J.R. Hendrick Texas and Gentlemen. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, become a part of the adventure. This is the James Hendrick Empowerment Network saying until next time, get ready for the rest of the story. It's going to get more bumpier from here with the Memorial Day edition.